All right, Herman Moore said he's starting to notice the turn or the difference in the franchise under the new regime. We also go talk about Barry and Calvin and Stafford, where their racial component to why they didn't let Barry and Calvin go, and then why they let Stafford go. But let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. I kind of touched on this a little bit last night in the live, but excuse me. I'm gonna touch on it a little bit more right now. But yeah, Herman Moore, I do think now you start to see a shift in regime. Let's start off there with them not holding on players and holding them ransom and making and actually making deals and flipping something to them. That's what it should have been about. Barry gave his heart and soul to the city, to this town. He still live around here. You see him. Same thing with Calvin Johnson. Still come here. People that play here, they love the city. And but why they couldn't go and go better themselves? That was my issue. And what Herman says now, with them, basically trading a player that asked to be traded, getting compensation, that now the regime is starting to really bend their corner to actually operating like a real NFL caliber, front office. And you got to get that call from the office, from not from the front office. The front office got to get that call from the owner. And I agree with Herman. It's good to see them. Bill Belichick wasn't emotional about Rob Gronkowski. I only want to play for Tom. And he's like, all right, I'll flip you and turn him into what, a 4th round draft pick. That's what it's about. They got like 2 number ones for Roy Williams. What they would have got for Calvin Johnson. And that's what it's about. It's not emotional. It's not, oh, you don't want to be here. It's not, oh, we don't like you, or we want you to hold you captive. No, it's about getting compensation. The Herschel Walker trade turned the Cowboys into a winner, to a championship caliber team. So why you couldn't do the same thing with Barry and Calvin? And now we trying to see in the regime that's moving the right way. That ain't getting mad or getting jealous or being emotional about some of these moves. Now we seeing that, and that's beautiful. And that's what we need to see. But that's how real organizations operate, and that's what you want to see. You want to see them willing and dealing. Every player you got what 52, 53 man roster. About 53 man, I want to leave. You can't do that. But people that earn the right, Calvin and Barry that in Stafford that gave their body and gave their heart and soul to the organization to deserve to leave. And I didn't really have no issue with Stafford actually leave. I felt that they should have moved on from him on their own will, not Stafford will, but they was just emotionally committed to Stafford. That's what it was. They wasn't football committed to Stafford. It was an emotional thing. When you raw emotions with any business, then things gonna change and the business not gonna run like it's supposed to run. And that's my thing about it. Run this like it's the Ford, Ford Motor Company. Run it like Chrysler. Run it like Amazon. Run it like a real company, because if you do, then you're gonna get real results. And when you run a company, you can't worry about everybody else's lives. You gotta be cutthroat, and that's why a lot of people will never be able to have a Fortune 500 multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar company, because they're not cutthroat enough. All those billionaires sitting there, cutthroat. You don't see them sitting in church on Sunday. You don't see them making emotional decisions too many times in business. It's all about getting richer and fattening your pockets. But Herman Moore see the change. I see the change. We see the change. And people talking about, was it a racial component to it? I just think it was a new regime on there. They got the orders to trade them. Well, I think if Calvin would have went up to Sheila and Barry would have had Sheila, I think she would have traded them too. I'm pretty sure they sat up there, Mr. Ford or Martha was saying, I'm ready to retire, or I just want to get a trade. I want to see something different. I thought it was an aspect of the difference between the mother and the father. Was it a racial thing with Mr. Ford and Barry? It probably was. What if, Steve Boyd or whatever his name is, or Chris Spielman has to be traded? Would he have accommodated them, or was it just like, I'm making money off big people come to see Barry. I don't care about, if you want to win or not. And Barry was like, look, I'm going to walk away or trade me. And I think it was a slave master mentality from Mr. Ford. I think it was like, fuck it, walk away. Who cares? You ain't going to be playing nowhere else. And that's that slave master mentality. Barry ain't nothing but, and Calvin Johnson, I think it was Martha there. But with them, they was model citizens. What they had to do? Do Grand Theft Auto and beat somebody ass for them to get traded? And they was model citizens, two of the nicest superstars that you're going to see. And they still couldn't get accommodated to get traded. I just think the regime was different. I think Martha seen the bigger picture with Matthew. It was like, you know what? I love you, Matthew. I want you to win. And we'll see how it move forward. If they get another Calvin or another Barry Sanders and they say they want to walk away, If Deshaun Watson was Mr. Ford, he would have been like, shit, you want to get traded? Retire there. I ain't trading you. And that's just how the National Football League operates. And then with not Herman Moore, but with Barry and Calvin, I just think ownership was different. Ownership was just like, I'm not trading you. I don't care what you say. And I think with the ownership of Sheila different. Sheila, okay, I trade you, but a lot of people saying this, the white boys, being able to get traded. Why Barry? Well, Sheila different from Martha, and Martha different from Mr. Ford. Martha and Mr. Ford was the same. But Sheila, she came in and said that I'm willing to give Kaepernick a try if, the front office want to give him a try. Mrs. Ford never said that. Martha Firestone Ford would have never said that. She's the richest person in Akron, not LeBron from Akron. She would have never said that. Mr. Ford would have never said that. Never. And maybe that's the kind of turn we need, in the National Football League, where we starting to get people that's a little bit more sensitive to the racial issues of the world. Then versus people that's been racist that's been built up in racist their whole life. I've been told y'all about Mr. Ford's story. He's stone cold racist. I'm not gonna miss no words. We can go back and talk about how he had the mob beat up, people that was picketing for better, or what you call it. I forget what they call it. I'm tired, but whatever, picketing for better wages. Talk about how he paid black people significantly less and white people more, or minorities in general. How minorities had to have people go to the bathroom with them, and white people was able to go to the bathroom by themselves, and when they need a break or whatever. So it's a lot of racial. They grew up in a different time. Right? Being racist is not something that you born with. You can see a white baby, black baby, Mexican baby, any type of baby, Asian baby, you all play together. They don't care. Being racist is something that's learned. Being racist is something that you picked up on. You see dogs. Some dogs just don't like white people, like black people. Or you see some dogs are able to pick up on what they owner like and not like. So you got dogs that's racist. I see it all the time. You got dogs that pick up after their owner, that don't like blacks, that don't like whites, that don't like Asians. So a dog can learn to be racist. So can a child learn to be racist. And when it's hard to unlearn all that. So, Mr. Ford was brought up like that. Martha was an Akron, brought up like that. I mean, it is what it is. He said, well, right from wrong, but if you grew up eating turkey and eating gluten-free your whole life, and you like, okay, somebody say, well, don't eat or gluten-free. Eat this non-gluten-free shit. No. Or you grew up eating bacon and burgers, It's hard to make that change, especially when it comes to racial, but I do think it was a racial component with Barry and Calvin. I think the racial component was the ownership was racist. I think Sheila's not racist. Sheila been around long enough. She was probably learned to be racist, but she been around long enough to be like, you know what? It's not embedded in me. It's not engraved in me. I can learn. Because the world turned since Sheila was 70 years old. So, Martha had, 20? The world has changed since then. Now you see, schools integrated, colleges integrated, so she probably didn't have black people she worked with and stuff. Things is different. But I think the racial component was with the ownership. I think if Sheila was able to go back like she is now, and go back then, she would have traded Barry. She would have traded Calvin. I think she would have did that. To have to make somebody retire. I mean, the only other owner that I can remember that made somebody retire like that was Mike Brown with Carson Palmer. And eventually he did trade Carson Palmer. And eventually Mr. Ford never traded Barry. I think Barry and Calvin earned the trade. They earned that trade. But I think the biggest shift in this momentum and shift in this franchise, honestly, the biggest shift is Sheila. The biggest shift is Sheila. Sheila is the biggest shift out of all of them. I don't know if her husband helping her, but Sheila's not a racist to what I see. Sheila's the biggest shift. And it is what it is. Sheila is the biggest shift. I'm going to keep saying it. That's the difference. Sheila. Martha was like Mr. Ford. They was different. The biggest shift is Sheila. And Sheila's doing things different now. Will it result into a Super Bowl or more success than Martha and Mr. Ford? Her time starts now. Is it more success than them? I mean, only time will tell. Maybe she get the same success. Maybe she get different. Maybe we win. If she wins, she'll be the toast of the time. But the biggest difference is her. And she doing things differently. I hope it results into a Super Bowl, soon. While I'm still young and able to walk. Oh, my back. Old man Johnson. Oh, Jenkins, my back. Hopefully it ain't like that. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video request. All my social media links, subscription. Password to reach me is Twitter, then Facebook, then Instagram. Other than that, you want to make a financial donation, Cash App CJ Good 313. That's in the description. PayPal link there as well too. Best way to donate. Share the video. Appreciate the love, support. One time for the one time. Good for the sport. Mercy Sports Talk. We gone.